Javier was in the middle of his swing when his sharp gaze locked onto Amelia and Thomas on their date. The sight nearly made him snap the handle off his golf club, and his ball rolled right into the sand. He muttered through gritted teeth. School teacher my ass. What the hell is Pablo's brother doing here? Victor followed Javier's gaze, wondering what caused his boss to flub his typically flawless swing. Is that Miss Rivera? I didn't know she knew Pablo's brother. The second Victor saw the burning chill in his boss's eyes, he realized running into her was no coincidence. So, today's change of schedule was all to spy on Amelia. When did his boss get so shameless? Across the way, Amelia caught Javier watching her, and she froze, unsure whether to wave hello or ignore him altogether. The uncertainty hung in the air until something else caught her attention. A familiar face among Javier's entourage. Her heart dropped. Standing just a few feet away from Javier, working as his translator, was none other than Amelia's ex-childhood sweetheart turned future brother-in-law, Charles. Seriously? What is going on here? This golf course has turned into my own personal hell. And all the devils are handsome men who emotionally torture me. It was supposed to be her and Thomas's day. At no point in her plans had she expected to run into her baby daddy and her ex. And why were they here together? What a troublesome duo. Thomas snapped his fingers in front of her face. Hey, I was joking earlier when I said you were the president of Prince Calderon's fan club, but now I'm starting to believe it. You've been staring at him for 10 whole seconds. Everything okay? Amelia came back to reality, realizing she was still holding a golf club. She adjusted her stance and swung. This time, the ball rolled a decent distance. Ah, better, Thomas celebrated. You must have a very talented golf coach. Don't let that guy go. Thomas winked, then asked thoughtfully, Now, want to tell me why you're so fixated on the Prince's game? Amelia sighed and turned her back to Javier and Charles as if fearing they might read her lips from across the field. It's not the Prince. I'm looking at, see that man standing next to him? That's my high school sweetheart, Charles. Charles was translating for Javier and Ren Nakamo, Japan's consul general. Amelia knew Charles had been job hunting since he moved back to Miami. But she hadn't expected him to land a spot on Javier's staff. What was this meddling prince up to? Hiring her ex? Thomas turned to get a good look at the man who had been such a magnet to Amelia's attention. Don't look, she hissed, grabbing his arm. Thomas turned back to her, amused. Oh, seriously? That's your high school sweetheart. Was he your teacher? No offense, but he looks really old. Amelia glanced over her shoulder and realized Thomas was making a joke when he gestured to the elderly Mr. Nakamo. Amelia chuckled despite herself and smacked him. Shut up. You know who I mean. The blonde guy. Ah, now I get it. That is the textbook definition of an American hunk. Lucky for you, you have a much better looking Spanish hunk on your arm. Thomas boasted to cheer her up. So, what happened between you two? Do I have to challenge that guy to a duel to win your heart? Amelia's mind flashed back to 6 years ago. Her night with Javier, the magical start of her romance with Charles, the discovery of her pregnancy, and the painful decision to end things with the guy she loved. Life happened. He was my first love, and it didn't work out. And now, he's soon to become my brother-in-law. Thomas's gossipy nature got the better of him. Oh, damn. He's marrying your sister. I mean, glad to hear he's off the market, but that's cold. Amelia laughed despite the tension, glad that Thomas could still make her smile in such an uncomfortable situation. Thomas leaned in. Well, I still might have to challenge him to a duel because that hasn't stopped him from staring at you every 5 seconds. Watch. As soon as I get close to you, his gaze shifts over here. Amelia glanced at Charles and indeed found him looking right back. She froze for a moment, then waved to be polite. His engagement to Sophie still stung, but she'd have to learn to live with it. She then looked over and saw Javier was deep in conversation with the council. His charisma and presence was undeniable, even from an entire field away. Meanwhile, Thomas was caught up in his own mischievous experiment. Want to make him jealous? Huh? She asked, distracted, when Thomas suddenly wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her into a warm embrace. She gasped. What are you doing? Amelia blushed, caught off guard by the swift gesture that enveloped her in the subtle scent of his cologne and the warmth of his body. From a distance, both Charles and Javier stopped mid-conversation to watch the scene unfold, leaving poor Mr. Nakamo to wonder whether he was boring his guests. Thomas released her, clearly enjoying himself. Looks like it worked. He's jealous. Thomas was talking about Charles, but Amelia's eyes instinctively searched for Javier's. When their gazes locked, his look turned icy, and she misread his jealousy for disdain. Jerk. It's awkward enough that he ignores me in public. Does he also have to glare at me like I'm some lowly peasant? She turned her attention back to Thomas. I can't decide whether you're being helpful or just a pervert taking advantage of the situation. He threw her a sly shrug. Why not both? I'm not sure we've made an impact. Want to make him jealous some more? Amelia laughed and swatted at him. You behave. I knew you were enjoying that. Even though Charles and Javier's appearance didn't make for an ideal second date, she was grateful that Thomas proved to be a good sport about it and had a knack for lifting her spirits with such ease. Less than 100 yards away, the sound of Thomas and Amelia's joyful laughter drifted across the open golf course. It was akin to torture, while Javier tried to keep his attention on Mr. Nakamo and tune them out. Meanwhile, Amelia needed to excuse herself to the restroom, which, unfortunately, meant she had no choice but to walk past the prince's entourage. She collected herself and offered Victor a polite smile, which he returned warmly. Javier, however, acted as though she were invisible. A wave of annoyance surged through her, accompanied by an ache in her chest. It wasn't anger, but something different, heavier. She forced herself to brush it off and keep walking. Moments later, when Amelia emerged from the restrooms, she was startled when she bumped into a solid chest. She froze and looked up to find Charles' deep, familiar gaze. Charles, it's good to see you, she stammered. I think the men's room is on the other side. Actually, I was waiting for you, he admitted, his voice sincere and vulnerable. Oh, I'm actually here with a friend. Let's talk some other time, okay? Charles's face grew solemn. Is that guy your boyfriend? Was he the one in the limo who took you home from family dinner? Amelia noticed how he deliberately avoided calling it his engagement dinner. Yes, she said firmly. He's my boyfriend. She wasn't proud of the lie, but since he was going to marry her sister, she thought it best to extinguish any lingering feelings between them. Oh, his voice dropped, and his eyes darkened as he stared at her. He stayed silent for a few seconds, and awkwardness filled the air. I have to go, Amelia said softly, trying to sidestep him. Charles gently grabbed her wrist. Don't stay with him, he pleaded. Amelia frowned, puzzled by his words. Charles, what are you doing? Do you love him? He said, his voice low but intense. She looked to the side, unable to take his piercing gaze. full of meaning. I don't think this is appropriate, please. As her hand slipped from his grasp, Charles pulled her into a tight embrace. Amelia stiffened, her chin resting on his shoulder as his warm hand lightly pressed against her lower back. I know. I'm sorry. I just miss you, he murmured, his voice tense with emotion. I have so much to tell you. It had been so long since she felt sweet, familiar closeness of his embrace. But it wasn't hers to keep. She pulled back. Don't. You're marrying Sophie. His voice softened as they looked into each other's eyes. Ames, I never stopped loving you. Tears of confusion and frustration welled in her eyes. If that's true, how could you be with my sister? Of all people. He sighed, with a look of guilt on his face. Sophie and I were both in a lonely place back then when we first ran into each other in New York, he admitted. Believe it or not, she was calmer back then, and she reminded me of home. But now I realize she reminded me of you, or at least I wanted her to. But she's not you. No one is. He took Amelia's hands in his. My relationship with Sophie is complicated, and there are things about it I can't tell you yet. But what I feel for you, I don't think it's ever going to go away. Charles had promised Sophie he wouldn't tell a soul about the pregnancy until after the wedding. She didn't want the ugly rumors that would come with it. But what he didn't know was that the pregnancy was fabricated, a manipulation she devised to keep him by her side when he nearly broke up with her after the gala. Amelia shook her head, her voice steady but laced with pain. You're engaged to my sister. I don't understand what you expect from me by saying all this. Charles hadn't planned on confessing to her. Seeing another man take what he dreamed would one day be his, a life with Amelia, had driven him mad, and he acted on pure impulse. Frustrated with Charles's silence, she broke away from his embrace to return to the golf course. But just as she took a step away, Charles pulled her back and captured her lips in a kiss without warning. Time seemed to stand still, and Amelia froze, shocked by the kiss as the world around them seemed to disappear.
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.